Where in the hell did Mega Strike go? I know I had some somewhere, someplace, somehow. Mega Strike. Mega Strike. Where's the Mega Strike? I just gotta order some more. I know I got some here somewhere. And I don't know where it's at. Because you guys really would like to see the Mega Strike. You don't know it, but you'd really like to see the Mega Strike. Because it is really good stuff. And it works. And I do not know where I put it. I really don't. Anyway, hello. Radar here with you. I had a pretty good morning fishing this morning. I didn't catch a lot of fish, but we had a really. I like getting on and talking to you guys. It's getting more fun the more people that are getting involved, and everybody has been really cool and fun, and everybody's good about sharing channels, and it's actually. I'm old. I'm in terrible shape. I've had, I don't know, over 20 back surgeries and all this crap wrong with me. Hips replaced, knees, all kinds of stuff. But as fun as everybody has been on this channel, it kind of motivates me to go. I don't need a lot of motivation to go fishing, but there are days, and it sucks when you get older. There's days that I want to go do something, but man, you just physically can't do it. So I'm gonna try and keep this short, unless a bunch of people hop on. So maybe the video will be saved so y'all can see what I used today when I was fishing. We had quite a few people that subscribed. I appreciate all you new subscribers. Hello, whoever's watching. I hope the sound's working. If you give me a like, let me know the sound's working. That'd be great. Because I'm just using the regular microphone. So anyway, I figured I'd get on here and show you guys what I actually use. And I got a like, so I guess the sound's working okay. I've been a guide my whole life, basically. Even when I was a kid, I'd take other people fishing, and I was really good at it because I was sneaking out of the house to go fishing. I'm not tooting my own horn or patting myself on the back, but I kind of know what I'm talking about with this stuff. And I know that people spend a lot of money on a lot of different baits. I have got, I don't know how many boxes like this that are completely full of different stuff, but this was my tournament box. But see, there's one big frog box, and there's one big live pointer box, and then there's a worm tackle box. There's some Rapalas in here, because I'm going to show you guys that what I used to use growing up when I was a kid, and everybody used them, was these black back Rapalas. And everybody knows what these are. And the cool thing about these is these are a lure. I have fished from Alaska on Point Hope all the way to Barrow, and then all the way to Key West and to Argentina, and this will catch fish anywhere in the world. It's just a black back Rapala, and this is a floating one, and you would just work it on the surface, pull it down a little bit, pull it back up. I've caught salmon on these things. I've caught trout. I've caught sea trout. I've caught snook. I've caught largemouth bass. A lot of big bass on these. Smallmouth bass. This will catch fish anywhere in the world, and they're not very expensive. I think these things are like $7 now. But if you use this, hey Victoria Hancock, how you doing? Thanks for joining. Like and subscribe, especially if you like fishing and hunting and being outdoors. But this will catch fish anywhere in the country. So if you get one of these, you can start with this. There are better things to use now, though, because again, hey Jackson Sanders, jerk baits, yeah. And this is like the original jerk bait. This thing has been around since the 40s, I think. But I'm just starting with this because if you guys, kids that are starting to fish, they're a great lure because if you lose it, you're not losing a $20 lure. The thing is, though, now is there's better things to use. Jackson Sanders, appreciate you shining up. Victoria Hancock, thanks. Brady, hello. What do I use for saltwater? You guys stick around. I've been a guide my whole life. I'm going to show you everything that I use, and it'll take about 10 minutes. I use basically 3 baits in saltwater. I use basically 3-4 baits in freshwater for largemouth bass and for smallmouth. And I use basically the same baits for trout. And that's why this morning, hey Brady, I'm going to show you. So, blackback Rapala catches fish everywhere in the world. The thing is, I got a new package from Amazon today. I'm going to get this out of the way. And the dogs have to come out here now and start barking. Because, I got on here and started doing this. So, y'all need to get out of here. Sorry about the interruption. but we have Monsterlanders. So if you like puppies and Monsterlanders, we've got that too. I got a package today from Amazon. And I usually, when I order anything from Amazon, I always get a couple of these. They are live pointers. They're $18 to $24 a piece. They are made, hey, running your favorite things. That's a cool handle. Hi, y'all guys like and subscribe if you haven't. I'd appreciate it. Anyway, these live pointers are what I use in freshwater for trout and for, I've caught snook on them. These things are like the new Rapalas. Only these are $18 to $24. You can find them sometimes for 15 bucks. But these things are great in saltwater, but I've got better stuff to use. But if you were going to go buy a lure that you were just going to, like I need one lure that's going to work like the Rapala does, it's these live pointers. And I'll show you my box because I'm not kidding you. This is what I had to get rid of that big box. That's my tournament tackle box. This is what I carry now. And in this box, and I left everything together just to show you, I have two boxes. One of them is completely full of different sized live pointers. That's all that's in there. And the reason I have different sizes, most of them are the ghost minnow pattern and the ghost minnow. This is a flash minnow. There's different sizes because just like fly fishing, you got to kind of match the hatch. So catching pike, these will catch them. The problem is there's too many treble hooks in them. You really want a single hook when you're fishing for pike because they're wild when you get a hold of them. And if you try and get this out of a pike's mouth without pliers, you are going to get hooked. So I would use a single hook like a spinnerbait or something. Or buzz baits work really well for pike. But anyway, these things right here, I'm going to try and answer your questions as I go along. The reason I use a ghost minnow Jackson Hats is because this mimics a bait fish anywhere in the world. It's like the blackback Rapala. These things mimic just any bait fish. You go in any water system and there's minnows that look like this. Sometimes what I do, Brady's going to the beach, wants to catch trout and flounder. I'm going to show you in a second the saltwater box. These work in saltwater, but I usually use these in freshwater. Welcome everybody who's on. Thanks for all the likes. The 12 of you here, like and share, I'd appreciate it. But anyway, these things catch fish anywhere in the world. I've caught fish in Alaska, salmon, trout, Dolly Varden, grayling. You can catch everything you want in Alaska with these things, but again, they're expensive. But again, my box is basically that. I have a couple different crankbaits in here that I just use, and I'm not going to take time to undo these, but some of these different crankbait, that's a $35 lure. But it's got a deep diving lip on it. So I do have different baits, but I usually just have these like, it's not about changing a pattern as much as it is changing a depth. And again, I've got top water in this box and a couple different crankbaits. But that's all I carry to go fishing in the Snake River or up here in any of our lakes. So let me get to what I was going to do tonight. So in saltwater, I have 3 baits that I throw. When clients used to come fishing with me in saltwater, and they're paying me a lot of money. A lot of times I was fly fishing, which I'm going to show you the fly that I use too. In saltwater, when they would show up, I would give them a Cody jig. And this is my little saltwater box. I have in my pouch for saltwater, I have this little box and a whole bunch of tails that go on what's in this little box. You cannot find an original Cody jig anymore. That is an original Cody jig with an original Cody jig tail. Cody went out of business a few years ago. And Rapala jerk bacon ghost minnow, that'll work. And it's not a bazillion dollars. Steven, welcome, man, from Louisiana. One of my favorite states. I bought my Go Devil from Louisiana. Warren, Coco, and I are really good friends. But anyhow, this is a 1/4 ounce head on this thing. And they're real simple to use. You tie it on, you sew it out, and you literally just jerk it like 3 times and let it drop. Jerk it 3 times, and you want to reel it kind of fast. Hey, you guys can quit. The dogs want to get involved. So anyway, you take the head of this thing, you take the tail here, you keep the flat side, and you just feed it so that the flat side's facing the head and pull it through, and you're done. What happens with these, and the reason I have so many tails, is the tails get tore up. A lot of times you'll get a hit, and what'll happen is the tail will come up because the fish will bite it, and if you reel it in and the tail's like that, it usually means that you had a hit. Throw it back in there. But my clients would show up, and I'd tell them, throw a Cody jig. And it didn't matter what the weather was doing or any of that. It was Cody jig with a red head and a 1/4 ounce. I do throw a 1/16 ounce. There's companies now that make a knockoff to these that work just as well, but you can't find the original Cody jig tails. So I'm going to show you what tails you get. DOA makes a tail that has got a little flatter paddle on it, but it's basically the same thing. And that is what I use in saltwater when I'm just wanting to catch. I've got shrimp patterns in here, but that's what that Cody jig mimics. And that's why I got this out to show you. Cody jig mimics a shrimp. You can catch fish anywhere in the world with this too. And the reason being is there are, where am I from, Jackson? It's the accent in it. I'm originally from Florida, but I've lived all over the country and traveled all over the world flying. I was a pilot. So anyway, and a fishing guide, a bush pilot, and I flew for Alaska Airlines. But thanks for asking. But these things, because it mimics a grass shrimp, there are grass shrimp, there are shrimp in every single waterway. Even in the Great Salt Lake, which is salty as hell, there's little shrimp. So you use this, you will catch fish. Now, it might not be the best thing to use, say, in Alaska in super cold water, but fish will eat this. But for salt water, I throw the Cody jig, and then for top water and saltwater usage, I throw a mirror lure. It's just a floating mirror lure. There's no prop on it. It's just a black back floating mirror lure. I do use the ones that have red belly sometimes because sea trout like these a little bit better. But this is for top water, and that's what I throw for getting down in the bottom, because you can work this all the way to the bottom. You can work it on the top. It's a shrimp. And I've caught some huge snook on this thing. My world record snook were caught on a fly rod with a fly that I'm going to show you here in a second. But yeah, my saltwater pack, even when I had clients, was, when I was, if they weren't fly fishing and they were just fishing with the spinning rod or bait caster, I'd use that Cody jig or that topwater Rapala. If you can't find the green ones like this that I showed you, get the root beer colored ones. They work just as well. When we were screwing around with it in Florida, I would throw the root beer one, and one of the guys would throw a green one just to see, and we caught the same amount of fish. So this root beer one will work just as good as that green one. And again, these are original Cody tails. If you get on eBay and you can find these Cody jigs that say Cody on them, buy them. These things are awesome. They work better for some reason than these flat tails, and I think the reason is because the way the tail's designed, when you drop the bait, you jerk it 3 times and you let it drop, it spins down. You could take those flat ones and turn them a little bit so it'll spin down, and you're going to get line twist in your line. It's just part of it, but you're going to be catching enough fish, it'll stretch that twist out. So get the root beer ones if you can't find the green ones. But that's what I throw in salt water. Our Cody jigs and that topwater Rapala. And people will be out there. I've taken professional fishermen, because like Rick Clunn, who's a bass fisherman, people who know the bass thing, best YouTube ever. Thanks, Right Hunting. I appreciate it, man. Rick Clunn has asked me about this, because he's like, what do you throw out there? Why do you only throw this? Why aren't we catching anything? Well, the tide's not right yet, or they're just not hitting yet. Because I'm telling you now, in any body of salt water, throwing that Cody jig, if you're not catching fish, they're not hitting yet. And I've been out there with professional fishermen who are like, are we married to this bait? Are we married to this spot? Yeah, for the time being, till the tide turns. And as soon as the tide turns, or whatever needed to happen for the fish to turn on, I start slaying them. And they've changed baits 35 times. And then they're like, can I have some of them Cody jigs? Yeah, absolutely. I got thousands of them because my clients like them. So that's what I use in salt water. That mirror lure and those Cody jigs. And again, you can't find Cody jigs, but you can find something really close and just use it with the red head. The black-headed Cody jigs will work okay, but that red head just makes a difference. That was my saltwater stuff. For freshwater, and I'm a largemouth bass fisherman. I've won a lot of tournaments. I was sponsored by people in fly fishing and for bass fishing back in the day. I had to give it up because my back, I just can't fish like that anymore. But I got a lot of stuff for free, and people would send me stuff to try and all that. And I still I'd use it for a little while just to give them my opinion or whatever. But again, I always went back to what works for me. So in fresh water, and I did a tutorial on this. If you guys go watch what I do to my frogs, that makes them a lot better baits. Um, the reason I won so many tournaments down in the southeast, I never fished. I fished and won some Bass Angler Sportsman Society tournaments. I did not fish all over the country because my back's too bad. And the way those tournaments work is you have a Derek said, hey Derek, how you doing? How's the Gulf? Are they biting? You know, if you have any of those old lures, I'll take them. Yeah, I got a bunch. I actually just gave a big bin. I took to Florida and gave to my old fishing partner because I'm like, I'm not using these things out there. But in fresh water for largemouth bass, I use that live pointer, and I also use them in that box. I'll show you. There's live pointer that is a that shorter one there. These are again made in Japan, and this is the Pointer 78 SP. It's a suspending bait, and this is in a live pearl, but it's basically a ghost minnow with a stripe. Because up here in our river system in the Snake River, we have these river minnows that look like a ghost minnow. That's why that thing works so well. But what I'll do is I'll just take a Sharpie, a black Sharpie, and I just put a line. Hell, I'll show you because I do it on these all the time. I take it and I put a black line just right down the side of it. And it doesn't matter if it's straight. The fish don't care. And it looks just like a river minnow. This is what I catch those big browns and rainbows and smallmouth in the Snake River on, is this lure right here. Occasionally, I started out when I first came out here with a, it's a bait, the same thing, a ghost minnow, but it's called a slender pointer. I tell you what, them dogs, they're quiet like all day. And I get on here to do this, and they run around the yard raising cane and having fun. This is a slender pointer. This is a 112 MR ghost minnow slender pointer. They make a 97 MR, which is shorter, and I could dig one out of here. It looks exactly like this, only it's shorter. And again, if I have to, I'll put a black stripe down it, but I usually don't have to. They'll hit the heck out of this thing. The reason these work so well and the reason they're so expensive, they have ball bearings in here. So when you cast it, you guys probably can't see that, but there's ball bearings in there. Yeah, you can see them. So you see how when you cast it, they go to the end. So you could cast these things a mile. But then when you get it in the water and you pull it in to jerk it, see how they fall on the thing up there? What that does is it causes the head of these things, when you stop it, to look like a injured bait minnow. So the head comes up. And a lot of times you'll work it, and when you stop and it floats up like this, that's when you're going to get your hit. With trout, bass, anything, I usually get the hit on these things when I stop it and the head goes up because it looks like an injured bait fish. So these live pointers, absolutely awesome. As you can see, I just got a box full of them, and that's mainly what I carry. And the reason I have so many is my friends get out there and they're trying all this different stuff, and they're like, can we have some of those? And we lose them because they get hung up in rocks and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, go check out my frog thing, because if you want to catch a 10-pound bass anywhere in the southeast part of the United States, throw this frog and watch my frog tutorial, because I will guarantee you, if you fish that frog on braid long enough and you throw it in the thickest crap you can find and get into that little spot of open water and put some live. I was trying to find the Mega Strike. I put Mega Strike on it so it slides across the lily pads easier, but again, that's in that frog tutorial. Throw this thing, you will catch a 10-pound bass. I've won so many tournaments, and even if I didn't win the tournament, I usually would get big bass for the tournament because it's like a separate pot. And if you win big bass for the tournament, it pays for the tournament. So if I get there and I get big bass on the first day, I paid for the tournament. Now everything I make on top of that is just money to use to put on my bass boat that I had or whatever. But these frogs are what I use in freshwater. And then the other killer bait that I think you can buy now are these Gambler. They're like a swimming shad. They're almost like a what do you call it? They're called the Big EZ. This color was designed by a friend of mine named Carrie that used to run the couples tournaments in the southeast part of the United States. I know it looks green, it's got gold in it, but the way he designed this color, when you put this in the water, it looks just like a golden shiner. So you take I should have got a hook out, but you just hook it through the top here, and you put the hook and bury it in here so it's just sticking out of that back where that ridge is at. And I reel this across the top of the water, and what it does is it just goes blah, 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 across the water. And then if I know a fish is following it, I'll drop it, because you can see those big bass coming for it, and you will see the wake. And what we do with these is we coat them with that Mega Strike, and we throw them just like I would a frog. And so, like, if I'm throwing a frog and I have a bass hit the frog a couple times, but I can't get him to take it, I'll throw one of these in there, reel it across just like a frog, and drop it, because this will sink and the frog won't. And a lot of times I'll pick up a fish that I wouldn't have gotten with the frog with this thing. I'm not sure what he called this color, so I apologize for that. But when I got these, Carrie had Gambler Lure Company, which is in the southeast. It's in Florida. I think it's in Clewiston. Oh no, Pompano Beach, Florida. Gambler Lure Company. You get these big easies, or what they call, and they have a smaller one, but I always did better on this. And when he first gave these to me was at a tournament on Lake oh, what lake was it on? It was on a lake there near Lake Wales. I can't remember the name of Lake Walking Water. Lake Walking Water. He gave me some of these because he said, Radar, I got these new things from Gambler, and they went ahead and made them. They made me a batch, and they said if enough people will use them, that they'll make the color. They'll go ahead and make them. And he gave me these, and I caught a 12-pound bass on this the first time I ever used them. And I actually was like, I was reeling across the top, and my partner had a problem, so we were fixing it, and I'd let this sink to the bottom. And when I went to pick it back up, there was a fish on there, and I'm like, well, crap. So I set the hook, and all hell broke loose, because it was a 12, I think it was 12-2. So when I got back to the ramp with that thing, Kerry was all excited. He's like, tell me you caught that on my lure. And I said, absolutely. But I was kind of cheating. I've been reeling across the surface, but we had a problem and it dropped. And when I picked it up, that big bass was on there. But Blaine asked me if I ever been deep saltwater fishing. Absolutely. I used to guide offshore of Vero Beach. I used to go out to Fort Pierce Inlet. I didn't take a lot of people offshore. I only took like clients that were really good friends, because offshore is a lot of work. And I mean, not that I'm afraid of work, but it's just I didn't have a lot of time to do offshore fishing, because that's like an all-day event. Brady says he's going to Alabama. That's awesome. Alabama, these things will work in Alabama. The frog will work in Alabama. So my 3 lures, excuse me, I chew. Don't ever start. It's a bad habit. The 3 lures that I use in freshwater are these live pointers and the frog and this. And if you throw those 3, you don't need a whole tackle box full of lures. I'm telling you, if they're not hitting these things, they're not eating yet. Once they start eating, you will catch fish on these things that I'm showing you. And like I say, I'm hoping that this tutorial, this live stream will stay long enough that, it's short enough that it'll be saved, so you guys can go back and look at this. So anyway, saltwater, the 3 that I throw, freshwater, the 3 that I throw. And then the other thing is, so I fly fish a lot. And my main deal back in the 90s, I was kind of big in the fly fishing industry. I had 3 world records on a fly rod. My TV show was based around fly fishing on the Indian River there in Vero Beach, Florida. We fly fished offshore for sailfish, because he was asking about that. We'd go out and jump sails. We usually wouldn't fight them to the boat, because they get built up with lactic acid and it'll kill them. So we usually would jump them 3 or 4 times and we'd break them off. But we used flies that I tied. And if you guys do enough likes, or put in the comments, or go to my channel and look at a video and put in the comments there so I can see it. If you guys want, I'm going to show you the flies that I use. And then I will do a fly tying tutorial if you want me to, on how to tie it, because you can't buy these flies. I was making enough of them back in the day that I was selling a few of them. But in the fly fishing world, you usually don't sell your flies. You just give away the recipe, because it was just cool that I designed a fly that was catching all these, world record, small water charters. Fishing's been great here in Okeechobee. I'm sure it is, man. Jackson asked me about my TV show. It was called Reeling in the Treasure Coast. We only did it in the 90s, and it was like a local thing. It wasn't as big as like Rick Murphy, who's a good friend of mine. His was on Sportsman's Channel. Mine was on Channel 10 in Vero Beach. And it was just kind of a local thing we did, because I was a part owner in a fly shop. And so they'd ask us when they started the TV channel if we'd do a fishing show. So we did this fishing show, which actually was easier than doing this YouTube stuff, because like I said this morning when I was fishing, I had a cameraman and they did all the editing. All I had to do was tell them where to have the pontoon boat set up, and I would go meet them there, you know, and go fish, and they'd film it. And the other thing is, like this morning, I only caught 3 bass, but you know, to do a half-hour TV show, we might fish for 2 days, especially like tarpon fishing. When we wanted to catch a big tarpon, it didn't. I mean, I could go out and jump a bunch of tarpon, but to get one to the boat, sometimes it'd take us 2 or 3 days to get the footage to put that show together. And on YouTube doing this, it's kind of hard because I don't edit, and I'm not tech savvy enough to do it, but I also don't have the time. I mean, I'd rather you just see the bloopers. It's not like you got to go look at the bloopers. You're going to see them all day long, like today when my dog fell in the water. Um, so those of you guys who fit or who are liking, I appreciate the likes. Please subscribe. It helps me out. Look at some of the other people on here. If they have channels, go subscribe to them, because the fishing crowd that I've gotten into on YouTube have been awesome people, like Saltwater Charters, Vero Beach, Headwaters, and Kenansville, a couple of our favorite spots. Absolutely. So you know, Farm 13 and Garcia's. If you have a boat like mine, a Go Devil, go in the East Marsh and run to the back of the East Marsh, because nobody fishes that because there's no boat ramp there. You will catch some huge bass in there. One of my favorite places to go. Jackson, you have a good evening, man. Like and subscribe. Come back and see me. Have a good night. Saltwater Charter says they edit our videos. Fun part of it all. It is. It is. But I don't. My wife's trying to set it up on the computer where she can edit some of these, but I kind of just didn't want to get into all that because it's just so much work. And I'd rather, and I mean, again, I'm not afraid of work, but I would rather be out fishing. So my wife actually got the computer put together yesterday, and she's going to see if she can start doing some of this. There's Granny. Hey, sis. She's here and awake. So Granny's Corner is my sister. She has, yesterday evening was fire. Best 5 bass, 30 pounds. That would win a tournament in Florida on most days. Good job, man. That's awesome. And tell us what you were catching them on. I'm telling you all my secrets, so come on, come off some of that. But my sister's channel, Granny's Corner, go check it out, because all the stuff that I'm doing, like she will show you how to cook this stuff, and she's a hell of a chef. I mean, that woman can cook. None of us are skinny, as you can tell, because we eat good, and my wife's a good cook. So anyway, that was the salt water that I use, and the fresh water I use. I'm kind of making a mess here. Another little tip, if you can find some of these old lures, like I have a Dalton Special up here that is a super old lure. And we used to fish with this thing in Florida. And back in the day, this Dalton Special, this is a wooden bait. This Dalton Special prop bait we caught a lot of fish on this. And this was when I first started fishing when I was a kid. You can't buy these anymore. They quit making Dalton Specials years ago. However, there's a guy on eBay, and I don't know if he still makes them, and his name is Sam Griffith. He makes this Skinny Water Sam, which is basically the same thing as that Dalton Special. I like throwing prop baits. I do throw these in fresh water when I'm not throwing a frog. So I kind of lied. There's the 3 baits I showed you for fresh water, but I use these prop baits like a tiny torpedo or a baby torpedo. We're sponsored by Bruiser Baits. We're tossing a Rampage, big soft plastic paddle tail tweaking along top of grass mats. That's exactly what I do with these and with the frog. Exactly what I do with them. And he'll tell you, you just saw how much he caught. You'll catch a 10-pound bass on that, and small water charters will agree with me. You throw a frog long enough, you will catch a 10-pound bass. And I'm not talking for 10 years. I'm talking for a month, especially this time of the year, or right before they get on the beds or on the bed. If you find a bed in super shallow water and you put a frog on top of it, they're going to destroy it, because frogs eat their eggs, and the largemouth bass will destroy a freaking frog. But anyway, these are called Skinny Water Sams, and it's basically a Dalton Special. It's a little bit bigger and a little more body to it, and this is like their frog pattern. And the reason they do this is because this will kind of turn in the water and roll as you pull it in. So it looks like the belly of a frog. So no matter where it's at, it looks like the belly of a frog. And they know that the belly of the frog doesn't see them coming, they'll come destroy it. The other little secret with these prop baits is you take and you bend these blades a little bit forward, and be careful so you don't get hooked. And that's so when you pull it, it won't go as far. So you can keep it in the strike zone better. If you're fishing along the edge of the grass like he's doing, he's got his Dalton Specials hanging behind my bar. Yep, you know, they were awesome lures. But this Skinny Water Sam, if you can find them, I got them on eBay. And I don't know that he saltwater in the last 5 years. We caught 17 over 8 pounds. We raised them a trophy catch in Florida. If you go look in Florida under the turkey thing, I think it's still the 10th largest Osceola turkey shot. I shot it in 99, right after my granddad passed away on Easter Sunday, and I think it's number 10 still. It was the third largest ever taken when I shot it. But that if you're in Florida, go do that trophy catch thing. It's actually really cool. So these Dalton specials work great. And it's, again, sometimes I'll throw a prop bait because you get tired, and I'm getting old, and I got bad shoulders that just got redone and all that. And throwing and working a frog through thick stuff, especially when you set the hook with braid, it's hell on your equipment, and it's hell on my body, especially when we're fishing a tournament, because you're going like crazy trying to get the fish in the boat so you can win the tournament. So what I'll do sometimes is I'll throw one of these prop baits along the edge or something, or if I have one that I know there's a big bass there because I saw it wake up after a frog or after this gambler. And check out those baits that small water charters is talking about. I have been away from. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, Saltwater. I've been away from the crowd, from the freshwater fishing thing in Florida for about 10 years now. I moved back out to Colorado in 2012, and then came to in 2013. I retired from law enforcement and came out here to Idaho, and because there's just so many people everywhere, and Colorado's gone nuts. But anyhow, test your fishing equipment. Let a Florida fisherman try them. That's the truth, man. We tear stuff up like crazy because it's hard. You're fishing through really thick stuff. Out here, these smallies don't get in that thick stuff like the largemouth do. If they did, I'd already caught an 8-pounder. I'm at 7 pounds 2 ounces with my biggest smallmouth yet, but I'm hoping to break that this weekend. You guys that like and subscribe, this weekend we're going to shift gears and we're going to move from fishing on the lake at Lake Alexander for smallmouth, and we're going to be catching big browns and rainbows and big smallies down on the Snake River. And it's a different type of fishing. I use the same baits, but I got to fish them differently. And my wife said she's going to go with me, so when she goes, she can film it, so you guys can actually see what I'm doing, because it would be really hard for me to set a camera up and show you how I fish those runs and those riffs with a bait caster, to do it. JW, what are you doing, man? Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. 10 pounds, 6 ounces personal best, and he's lost some bigger ones. And those bigger ones you lose, man, it makes you sick at your stomach. It really does. It really does. The biggest one I've caught was 15 pounds, 10 ounces at Corrigan's Ranch when I was in high school. And I took it and weighed it, but my uncle made me put it in a cooler, and I was 14. I didn't even have a driver's license. And he made me take it and drive it to his pond, and we put that fish in his pond and named her Susie, and we had this huge bass in his pond. We had a lot of big bass over 8 pounds we were putting in his pond, and we'd go feed them shiners, and it was fun to throw the shiners out there and watch all the bass come from the edges and just destroy the shiners, because my uncle shiner fished. Him and I got into a thing in high school that he would shiner fish, and I was like, that's cheating, man. I don't want to soak bait. And I have nothing against bait fishermen, because I fish for catfish and crappie like that sometimes, but you will catch more fish using lures because you're throwing it and showing it to more fish than you are if you're just sitting in one place bait fishing. So yeah, people who come to Florida want to catch a 10-pound bass. I didn't take a lot of people on freshwater charters because I was always, when I was on freshwater, I was usually fishing tournaments. But they would take a shiner. They come down there and they go shiner fishing, and they'll go buy 2 dozen huge shiners for like $40 now. I think they are there. Small water charters probably know. I could take you to that spot where I lost it. It hurts. You'll remember that spot the rest of your life too. Anyway, we fish artificial only except during crappie charters. Exactly, drowned minnows. But I can show you here what I use to catch. I caught a world record speck. We call them specks in the South, and he'll agree with that. We call them specks. Some people call sea trout speck, but we call crappie specks. I was out there fishing with my fly rod, and I was using, matter of fact, I'll show you my fly stuff real quick. I got my vest out, and all I did to plan for this video was start throwing stuff out here to show you. So in Florida, for specks, if I wasn't drowned in minnows, I was throwing these, I gotta find it. I was throwing what they call a Crazy Charlie. It is a pattern that they use for bonefish. I got them right here. And the reason I have these, I fish for bonefish. And again, when I fish for bonefish in saltwater and I'm fly fishing, I use a Crazy Charlie or something. So when I get to fly tying, or excuse me, fly fishing, I do use more different baits than 3 baits. There's one that I throw that I designed that I catch a lot of fish on everywhere. And if I had to pick one fly to throw anywhere, it would be the Snook King. You could see it's full of Snook Kings. These are the ones that I designed back in, I think, 94. And all it is, this was the original Snook King right here. And again, if enough of you get in my comments and want to, I will set up my fly tying device and I'll show you how to tie these. They're really fast and easy to tie. They're weighted. The eyes are on them. It takes about 3 minutes to tie one of these if you tie flies. And as you can see, it's basically a shrimp pattern. This one is the Snook King. It's all gold. And we caught a lot of redfish on this and sea trout, but we found by putting that different color and that red, and it's got that root beer color to it, this one worked better than this one. Same damn fly, basically, but this one worked better for redfish. I'm trying to get it where you can see it, than this one did. So we called this the Redfish King, and then we had the Snook King. And as you can see, that's what I've got in here because I will fish these. I've caught salmon in Alaska on them because, again, it's a shrimp pattern. It's like that Cody jig. You could throw it anywhere because there are shrimp in every single body of water, even the Great Salt Lake, like I said earlier. But then the crappie, what I was doing was I was out at Farm 13. And I remember when Farm 13 was tomato fields because I was a crop duster and raised in a crop dusting family, and we used to spray the tomato fields that were Farm 13. So I know how it's laid out, and there's ditches in there. And those specks get in those ditches, and they'll come out on the flats sometimes, but mostly they're in those ditches because those ditches, now that they took the fields and just flooded it, and those ditches are like 18 to 25 foot deep, and there's palmetto and palm tree stumps along the edge of it, and those specks get in those ditches and stay in there. So I was out there messing around throwing flies and stuff, and I started throwing this little Crazy Charlie out there, and I was slaying the specks, the crappie. And there's a bunch of guys out there, old guys that were drowning minnows and stuff, and they came over and they were like, "We're watching you." And I was in my Maverick Master Angler Flats boat out there, and they came over and they were like, "We've been watching you, man. You've been slaying. What are you catching those on? I mean, we've never seen anybody fly fish out here." And I showed them what I was using. Well, because we own the fly shop in Vera, one of the fly shops there, I went in the next morning because I had a charter and did the charter, and I came back. And Carl asked me, he said, "What were you doing out at Farm 13 last night?" I said, "I was catching specks." And he said, "Did a bunch of people come talk to you?" And I said, "Yeah, they were wanting to know what I used." And he said, "Yeah, they came in today and I sold every starter fly fishing kit I had, and I sold all the Crazy Charlies." And he picked up a big giant $120 sailfish lure. And he said, "Would you please take one of these out there and tell them that you're catching bass on it? Show them you can catch a big bass on this so I could sell a bunch of these $120, flies." And we were laughing about it. But that night when I went to Farm 13 after the charter I had, it was a half-day charter. I went back out to Farm 13 that night. And all those guys came over to my boat because they wanted fly fishing lessons. And I used to teach fly casting with Chico Fernandez and Lefty Cray and all those guys back in the day. And so I was out there doing a fly fishing tutorial in the middle of Farm 13, but we were catching specks. And I turned a bunch of people into fly fishermen. So anyway, when I'm fly fishing, I will throw the Snook King or the Redfish King. I've caught trout on them here. I'll take my fly rod down to the Snake River. I probably won't do that this weekend. I'll probably just bait cast fish down there and use the live pointer. Show you I guarantee we're going to catch some big browns. If the water's right, we're going to catch some big browns. And probably some good rainbows too, and some smallmouth. So when it comes to fly fishing, though, you can see I have a lot of different flies. And the reason being, you have to match the hatch. So if mayflies are hatching and you're throwing a stonefly, are you going to catch fish? Yeah, probably, but you're not going to catch as many fish because they're going to be feeding on that hatch. And anybody who fly fishes will tell you, yeah, I'm a Lightning fan. Prime V Gamer, welcome, man. Like and subscribe. Yeah, you know what? I'll do that because I kind of could use some help because I know my sister gets, hang on a second. Let me see. I hit the wrong button. You guys got to bear with me here. Hang on a minute. I'll do that for you because I'm going to trust you to be cool. It's not one. I don't want to cut this off. Come back, like and subscribe, and I will make you a moderator on one of my next deals. You got to give Granny's Corner some static. Yeah, she says the Panthers for me, but Radar's Lightning. We go back and forth. Plus, I'm a Gator. My sister's kind of, but the other sister, she's a diehard FSU. She's a Seminole. So we go back and forth, and it's all in fun, though. We're not nasty about it. But anyway, when I go fly fishing, you have to match the hatch. So I have a lot of different flies that I throw. However, if I'm just going out someplace and piddle farting around and just throwing something to catch some fish on a fly. If I'm not throwing the Snook King, I throw these woolly boogers, these black woolly boogers, and you can see the boxes full of them. And the reason being, I usually use them unweighted and just light because they're if you don't fly fish, they're kind of hard to fish because you got to really watch for a hit. You might need a strike indicator to help you out, but these black woolly boogers are absolutely dynamite to catch fish anywhere in the country fly fishing. So if you had to pick one fly that you could go buy at a store, because you can't buy my Snook Kings at a store any longer, so you get these woolly boogers. You can pick them up at just about any fly shop, and as you can see, it's just a black hackle wrapped, looks like a leech. That's why they'll work everywhere, because most waterways have some kind of leech in them. So these woolly boogers work great. And like I say, you can see that's what I throw. That's why I have so many of them in here because I go through them. I got grasshoppers. There's all kinds of different flies. And I kind of play around with the fly thing because, again, you watch for the hatch, especially late in the evening. You figure out what's hatching, and then you match the hatch, and that's how you catch fish fly fishing. They tried to get me, my sponsors tried to get me to start using a fly rod for bass fishing tournaments. And we had a long talk about it because they were like, man, if we could get the bass fishing crowd using fly rods, we could sell so many fly rods because there's more money spent in the U.S. chasing largemouth bass than any other fish. And they figured, if you could go out there and win some tournaments with a fly rod. So I tried it one time and I did okay, but I'm like, you just can't do it. There's no way that I could keep up and throw into the crap that we're having to throw into with a fly rod. It's just not built for that. Yeah, JW, thanks, man. Thanks for that. Illinois Husky. Yeah, I figured because where you're at. Okeechobee's Gator Country. That's absolutely right. And we love that money. You betcha. Because you guys, like, small water charters, you get a guide. It's worth the money because a lot of people are like, oh, I'll go figure it out. Well, if you're going to a different state or you're going someplace you haven't fished before, I'm giving you some stuff that you can do on your own, but it's worth the money to go get a guide, even for a half day, because you can learn so much if you just listen to them. Because a lot of times, with the fly fishing crowd, I had such a following because of the TV show and all the sports shows and stuff I was doing. I had a following that they knew to listen to me, and I tell them, yeah, I throw the Snook King, and I hand them a bunch of them, and they tie them on and start catching fish. And they knew that I had the Snook World Record, so they listened to me there. But a lot of times, you take guys out to do fish, and I know small water charters will agree with this. You get people that they want to do their thing, and I'll let them do their thing, but eventually they usually come and hey, is it all right if I use this or if I use something you want us to use? Um, Oh, that's cool. Small water charters. It's nice. I used to take Dick Beeson, who was the CEO for Kentucky Fried Chicken, and Dave Thomas. You all know Wendy's hamburgers. Dave Thomas used to fish with me a lot. And they were like that. They were clients that Dick Beeson would call me and he'd say, we're going to Argentina. That's why I went to Argentina. And I'm like, well, good. Him and Scott, his son, his son Scott was the CEO for McCormick Spice Corporation in Japan. So these guys have money. And how I met Dick was he had bought a big Grady White boat, and it was too much boat for him. And the owner of the Vero Marine Center, Bruce McIntyre, had asked me if I would take him in his boat. Like, would you please go run him in his boat and give him some time and show him how to use it? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And because of that, we got to be good and fast friends. And Dick and I fished all over the world because he would call me and say, hey, we're going to Argentina, me and Scott. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, when you all leaving? He goes, we're leaving Monday. Get your stuff ready. And I'm like, why am I going? He goes, because we need you to guide us. And I'm like, I don't know a freaking thing about Argentina or one of any other 20 places we went, Costa Rica and all over the place. And he said, but you'll figure it out. And so he'd take me to Argentina and I'd tell him, you don't have to pay me because, dude, he's like, nope, we're paying you your guide. See, and it was awesome because I had so much fun with those guys. Dick Beeson and Dave Thomas taught me how to drink scotch. And that was a fun night, let me tell you. So anyway, that's what I use. I was trying to keep this short. I didn't want to keep you guys on here all night. Throw the Cody jig. I'll run through this again. If you're going to be in salt water, I got to get it all dug out here again. I'm sorry, I'm not too organized. Plus, I use braid for most of my fishing. It's hard on equipment, but I'll tell you, this was 500 yards of 30-pound braid that I just got today, and it was $52.99. This stuff is expensive, but if you take care of it, use a line conditioner like Real Magic or this Kevin Van Dam's line and lure works good, but I like the Real Magic better. Just take care of your line. It'll last you a couple seasons. When we fish tournaments, we usually change the line after 3 tournaments just because I can't lose a 10-pound bass during a tournament because I didn't change the line. So that's why we had to get big bass. So we paid for the tournament because then anything we made extra, we spent on buying stuff we needed for the next tournament. So anyway, again, if you're going in freshwater, I got it right here, so I'll show you. Freshwater, I would throw a swim bait like this. This is a Gambler lure company makes these called the Big Easy, or a frog. Go check out my frog tutorial, because small water charters, go see what I do to my frogs and do it. And then get back on here and show me a picture of a big bass you caught, because the way I tweak these frogs, I catch some big bass on these things. So the swim bait, the frog, and again, the live pointer, and that's for freshwater. And again, I'll throw the prop bait like a tiny torpedo, a baby torpedo, or something like a Dalton Special at times. I've been throwing that a lot here for these smallmouth because the topwater bite for smallmouth has actually been really good on those baits. And I've caught probably almost just as many on a tiny torpedo or baby torpedo. Or I have a live pointer that they don't make anymore that I've showed you guys when I'm fishing. That I saw one on eBay for $90 because they don't make them anymore, and they're an awesome lure, and they're a ghost minnow, but they're kind of like the Dalton Special, and they're about the size, as you can see with my hand, they're about the size of that Dalton Special. So I don't catch a lot of fish on it, but the smallmouth I do catch are big, whatchamacallit, big fish. We use Power Pro. That's what I use. We switched to Bass Addiction Gear Goat Rope. No fade black. And I mean, it never fades. Good stuff. I'll try it. Power Pro actually had a problem with some of their line because I had some I was breaking, 50-pound tests, and that's been since I was in Idaho. And I didn't know what the hell was going on. And 2 years ago, I went to Florida for 6 weeks just to go fishing. I took my Go Devil down there to go fishing with my old buddies and stuff and catch some big bass. And if you go through some of my videos, you'll see some of the bass I caught on that because they were laughing. My old fishing partner, we went fishing, and it took me a little bit to get back into the frog fishing because I hadn't been doing it. And he was teasing me. But the first fish I caught was 7.5 pounds. So he was like, okay, you're back in the groove. I'm going to quit cutting you slack and start trying to kick your butt, which he didn't because I could throw top water and catch fish on it. So anyway, that was a freshwater. And in saltwater, the Cody jig with these tails that I showed you. And again, I'm sorry, I'm not very organized here. But what do I do with that one? Yeah, so I throw the Cody jig and I throw that topwater mirror lure. What the heck did I do with that? I know I had it right here. Oh, this is what happens when you're not organized. I apologize. This is why if we were editing this and I was doing my TV show, they'd edit that out. So again, in saltwater, Cody jig, this is one that's set up with a DOA tail with this color or the root beer color that I showed you, with a 1/4 ounce head, or sometimes I'll go with a 1/16 ounce head. Especially on my ultralight rod. A lot of times in Florida when I was fishing saltwater by myself or just out playing, I would throw this Cody jig on 4-pound test with a 15-pound or 12-pound fluorocarbon leader on it because I'd catch snook, and they have a gill plate that's like a razor blade that's serrated. So you kind of got to use fluorocarbon, especially with 4-pound test. But I caught some huge fish with this. I actually caught on that custom rod I've got, that little ultralight that Lee Howard built for me back in the 90s. I actually caught a 141-pound tarpon on 4-pound test with a Cody jig. And the reason we didn't enter it into the IGFA, because I was an IGFA representative for Vero Beach, Florida, and Indian River County, and I was also the representative for Bethel, Alaska. So I knew how to do the world record thing, but we'd have had to kill the fish. And Dick Beeson was with me when I caught it, and I hooked that big tarpon on this little 4-pound ultralight rod, and she jumped, and I'm like, I'm gonna break her off, and he's like, I want to see you catch that fish, and I'm like, dude, we are gonna be here for 4 hours. He's like, I don't care, I want to see you catch that fish. We spent 3.5 hours getting that fish to the boat. He had just had his knee replaced. I had just come out of a back fusion 9 months earlier, and he was taking a boca grip, getting ready to grab that fish. And I'm like, no, 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 don't do that, because that fish is going to beat us to death. So I called IGFA, because I called Jim Brown down there. I said, I've got a tarpon at the boat here that I caught on my ultralight rod, and it's a big one. What's the record? And he said, the record's 123 pounds. So he said, can you weigh it? And I'm like, no, because Dick's with me and we're going to kill ourselves. He said, get a length and a girth on it. So I did. And they have a computer thing that they do that you could take the length and the girth of just about any fish, and IGFA could tell you what it weighs. So we did that. And he said that fish is between 141 and 162 pounds. So it's a record. It beats it if you want to. And I'm like, I don't want to kill the fish. I looked at Dick and I said, if you want, we'll do this, but I really hate to kill her. He's like, nope, I don't care. I don't want to kill her. He said, let's just let her go. I was with you. I know you caught it. You know you caught it. So, and I didn't, if it had been on a fly rod, I probably would have gone ahead and taken the record. So anyway, the Cody jig, saltwater, mirror lure, top water, in salt water with this thing. And again, you could use the red bellied. It's just a black back mirror lure. They don't have the number on them, and I used to be able to rattle these things off, but I can't tell you what the number is on them. But it's just a mullet, basically. And you can see this thing's beat to death because I caught some huge sea trout. If you look through some of my videos, you'll see me holding a sea trout next to my head. It was an 11-pound sea trout I caught on my ultralight rod throwing top water with monofilament, which was kind of hard to get the hook stick, so you got to let the fish actually just take it. Pearlman, hey, how you doing? There's Glenn. Did you get out and go do any fishing or hunting or anything there, Pearlman? Because Glenn is in Pennsylvania, and he's been getting hammered with rain. Every time I talk to him, he's like, man, I haven't been able to get out. It's been just terrible. So anyway, saltwater. There's 3 things. It would be the Cody jig, this, and then my Snook King lure that I designed, that Snook King fly. That's what I use in salt water. So go find some of this stuff. For you guys that are out there, go down there and go find some of this and just use it, because I'm telling you, you'll catch fish. My sister, Granny's Corner, will tell you I've been fishing my whole life, and prayers for Texas. Absolutely, man. Those guys Glenn's at work. And I don't know if I could tell you what he does, but he's in an industry that's going to come back hard and fast here, because thanks to Trump being in office, I think he's going to really be busy, because I don't think he's had much time off. And when he does, he's taking care of his family. He's a good dude. And I think he's coming out here hunting, right? You'll be out here next year to go kill an elk. So anyway, that's what I use. And that's it. Like, when we go out next weekend to the Snake River, I will be throwing this 90% of the time. And again, it's a Pointer SP. I don't know if y'all can see that. I don't know if it'll focus in on it. Pointer 78 SP suspending. And this is a live pearl, but it's basically a ghost minnow with a line in it. And like I showed you, if you can't get those for the Snake River in Idaho, you just put a line down it with a Sharpie, and it makes it a river minnow. And I was using the slender pointers, and I was catching a lot of big fish down there. And what happened was I was fishing on all work and no fishing makes Pierman a tired boy. Yeah, it does. Because he works his butt off, man. I guess I could tell him he works at U.S. Steel, which is now owned by Nippon or Nippo or whatever that bought it, and they're about to go nuts because they're putting a bunch of money back into the steel industry here in the United States. So Pittsburgh is going to take off again, thank goodness. And maybe we'll start seeing some growth. I'm just hoping for him and for the United States. I think it's going to be awesome. Anyway, that when we go down next weekend, I think I've got Nancy talked into, she's going to go ahead and come down and spend the night at camp Friday night, because she loves camping down there. So we'll be doing some live stuff down there, and then I'll do a few, because you guys don't want to watch us. You don't want to watch us set up a hunting camp, but we're going to, be down there fishing. And if the water's right, I can guarantee we're going to catch some big fish. And I'll tell you this story real quick, and then I'll let you guys go. And I appreciate y'all hanging on with here and watching this. Please, Pearlman said, haha, not much of a fisher, but definitely coming out for next year for elk. Well, we'll have to go fishing while you're here. Nice to meet you, man. Small Waters, please like and subscribe. And yeah, come back and see us, man. I want to see some pictures, because I miss my Florida bass fishing. So what happened was, when I first moved to Idaho, I was down on the Snake River, and I was throwing my fly rod, and I was catching fish. But again, I can't throw a fly rod for 14 hours a day like I used to. So I can fly fish for a little while, but then I got to go to a bait caster because even though fly fishing's not a power thing, it's repetitive. And so with my shoulders, especially up until this year, I just had both my shoulders replaced in the last year. So I should be able to fly fish better. That's what I kept asking them. Like the first thing I started doing was practicing with my stick in the house throwing fly rod because it's not power, it's timing. And that's why women are actually easier to teach to throw a fly rod than men because men are trying to power it. Women do the timing thing. So I love teaching a group of women to fly fish because, man, they to fly cast because they pick it up really easy. But anyway, I was out there on the Snake River, and I was throwing that slender pointer that I showed you guys. Basically this lure only a little bit longer, and I was trying to catch smallmouth because I'd seen the smallmouth in there, and they were small waters charters. He's gonna do some editing. Good luck, man. Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. And please come back and see us. So I was down there I was trying to catch a bass, smallmouth bass on these live pointers. And I was catching these huge cutthroats and huge rainbows. And I'm talking 24 to 28 inch fish. And I'm a trout fisherman with a fly rod. And I couldn't I couldn't catch a bass down there because I was throwing it in the right place. But I kept catching these big trout. And I just take a picture of them and turn them loose. And then sometimes if they got caught in the gill or something and they were going to die, I'd eat them. Of course, we'd have dinner because I have no problem with people keeping fish they're going to eat. But you just love women or you're not kidding me or Nancy. Huh? Yeah, that too. It was fun teaching the women to fly fish. It really was. Because you get to wrap your arms around them when you're showing them how to cast. So you actually get to hug every single woman out there. And not in a weird, creeper kind of way. But it was just fun because I'd tease everybody about it. I get to hug every one of you before this is over with. So anyway, I'm down there catching these big trout on these things. And I was sending the pictures because I hadn't started working for Idaho Fishing Game yet, but I was teaching hunter's ed. And I'd made friends with people at the office, like my turkey hunting buddy, who's been to Florida with me a couple times to shoot Osceolas. So anyway, Don Jenkins is his name. And I sent these pictures to Don, and Don's like, "What are you doing with those trout?" And I'm like, "I'm throwing them back." Because he goes, "Well, you need to kill all the rainbows because we want all the rainbows out of there if we can get them out of there." And he said, "Just please start killing the rainbows and eating those." But he's like, "What are you using?" And I'm like, "Well, I really don't want to tell you because I didn't. This lure is one of those lures that you can go catch a limit of fish with." And my brother loves your channel. Can you give him a shout? His name's Loose Skunt. Yeah, you're funny. That's funny. We try and keep this channel clean. Like you have no try. How hard it is. I'm a pilot. To keep my mouth clean is really tough. But that's funny. So anyway, Mango Subprime. Hey, yeah, it is. It's funny. So anyway, I told him, I said, the problem with this lure is you can go catch a limit of fish anywhere in the country with this. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who keep a bunch of fish and they throw them in the freezer, but they never eat them. They're like, I got 450 specks in the freezer. Why? Eat them. I mean, so if you keep fish to eat, that's awesome. But dude, like throw some of that stuff back. So these are some of those lures that, I just wasn't telling everybody about. I'm telling you guys because I'm getting old and I'm not fishing tournaments anymore, so I can give up some of these secrets. But I'm going to go ahead and take off. It's almost been an hour. I'm trying to keep it short enough where this thing will save this video. So everybody who liked and subscribed, I really appreciate it. JJSOFLO 954, that was awesome. Thanks, man. I mean, that was awesome. And at least I caught it. I'm old, so I caught it. But yeah, try these lures. If you can, get a live pointer and try it. I guarantee you won't, you won't regret it. You're going to be like, God dang, that thing's $18. That's why I throw it on braid. Because the cool thing about these, they have Gamakatsu hooks. And as you can see, they're little thin hooks, but they're sharp as hell. And Gamakatsu hooks, the cool thing, when you're holding a fish, I've never had one straighten out. But if I get it hung up in a rock or a log or something, using braid, 30-pound braid or higher, I can pull it tight. And instead of trying to jerk it out of there, I just pull a steady pull. And it'll usually straighten the hook out. So I get the lure back, but the hook's messed up, but I can change the hooks back out. So that's why I throw these on braid, especially in the river down there where we're going this coming weekend. So anyway, it's been going right on an hour. JW, thanks, man. I appreciate the help. JW is awesome. Y'all go check out his channel. I think he's going to start throwing some content out there. He's been helping me a lot. We did really well this morning. I appreciate all of you. I'm getting excited about doing this again because it's kind of like my wife even said, you know, I remember back in the day when you were fishing in Vero and everybody was talking about you and that. And it's not all about, you know, fortune and fame. I had all that stuff. It's just nice to share some of this information because I really like it when somebody goes fishing with me and they've never caught a fish and it's their first fish. Or like I took that gal turkey hunting this year and she'd never been big game hunting and she shot a really big Merriman turkey. And it was one of the biggest ones we shot out there. And you know, I could catch these fish or shoot these birds or shoot these deer or elk or whatever, but to see somebody like Glenn who's going to come out here, to see him kill an elk when he's never shot one is just absolutely awesome. I mean, I've been guiding my whole life, and once you guide, you kind of never quit. So when I take people fishing, I still got the guide mentality where I'm trying to get them to fish. So thank you very much. We're over 500. That is absolutely party on the patio. Yeah, Jay, I'm telling you, man. I know where you're at in Illinois now, and my wife's family is from Carmi, Illinois, and we're probably going there to visit at some point. You and I need to get together because I'm going to buy you a steak and a beer if you want it, whatever, man, because I really appreciate the help. Granny's Corner helps me out tremendously. It's my sister, so she kind of has to help, but she really doesn't. She's a sweetheart. Go check out her channel. She's got some really cool, she's just got cool content. And if you think I got a southern accent, you should hear my sister. She's got one of those southern accents, and not that she'll bore you, but she's got this southern accent that if she was to read you a bedtime story, you wouldn't make it through the first 2 pages because she's just got that kind of. It's just fun to listen to her talk, and she even surprises me with. She said honey today, in just the way that only a Southern belle could say honey, and I was laughing so hard because she's a sweetheart and she's been good to me my whole life. So go check out Granny's Southern Corner or Granny's Corner. If you look in my subscription, like where my links are at, you'll see my link. And then I have my sister's link next to it. So you can find her really easy. But go like and subscribe on her channel. But JW, he's going to get going. Yeah, exactly. I told you, sis. Jay said, I like watching her for all the eyeglasses she has. My sister, I don't know, she must have some deal worked out with, I don't know who, Foster Grant or somebody, because she's got a different pair of glasses every time. And I'm like, she actually sent me some. I got to show you this and then I'll let you guys go. I think they were in my tackle box. She sent me a pair of purple magnifying glasses that she gave me. Hey Ashley, how you doing? I'm sorry you got in here right at the end of this thing. Ashley B's cool. She's helped me out a lot too. So I need to put her. I do. I got to put you on that thing while you're on here, because I think once I make you, a moderator, it I think that gives you a wrench. Yeah. So now it's easier to find me, and I can find you easier too. Her polarized blue ones. Yeah, she's got glasses that are just awesome. So all y'all who just got on, please come back when we're going to do this again. Tonight I kind of went through what we use in saltwater, freshwater, and what I use, which is basically the same thing everywhere. You don't need a bazillion baits to go catch a bunch of fish. So check them out. Hopefully this will save you guys can go back. Next time I'll do some of the equipment and the rods I use so you can see, because there's different rods I use for different things. You don't have to have a bazillion rods to go catch fish. You can get one spinning rod and go catch fish, especially with these baits I just showed you. But there's different lines and the reason we use them. And hopefully small water charters will be back on here, because I'm telling you, this is a great way to get some information from people like him, who I haven't been in the freshwater industry for quite a while, and I have not been great arm to the woman. Throw the wrenches at me. Yeah. She I haven't been in the freshwater fishing tournaments for about over, like right at over a decade now. And so there's a lot of things. There's new baits out there that I don't know about, but again, the ones I use are fine. So, and I catch a lot of fish on them. The thing about that Dalton Special I went to earlier is some of those older lures, people haven't used them for years, so the fish haven't seen them. And you could find some of these old lures like Dalton Specials and jitterbugs. These big jitterbugs are actually really great baits too. Um, and we use these at night. Somebody was asking me about pike fishing. You could slay the pike on these things, but you could see how big that lure is. But you throw these at night in Florida, you'll catch some big bass. We've caught some huge bass on these. But again, I went to the frog because the frog only has 2 hooks at night, especially when you're trying to get that out of a bass. If you're trying to get that out of a bass who's pissed off at you, you're going to get a hook in your hand. So you kind of learn over the years to use something that you're not going to get hurt with as bad, or at least I did. So anyway, thanks for joining me tonight. I know I keep talking. It's just you guys are so much fun, and I appreciate you. Thank you for subscribing, everybody who did. Come back and check out the channel. Tomorrow, maybe I'll do an equipment one because I'm not going to fish tomorrow. And Wednesday, I've got a doctor's appointment. But this weekend, I will be on the Snake River. My wife will be with me so she can film some of the stuff. I can show you all what we're doing. I don't know how we got good service down there, so the service shouldn't be a problem. But I don't know that I could get her standing next to me in the water because I wade. I don't usually fish out of the boat. But come down. Hula popper. Yep, absolutely. Hula poppers are awesome. I don't have any, but that's one of those old baits that people don't see anymore. They still make them, and they're not that expensive. And throwing a hula popper is about the same as throwing these. It's kind of a mix between a frog and a jitterbug, and those musky jitterbugs. And they're awesome baits. But again, everybody has their favorite bait. And the other thing is, do what you've got confidence in, because if you're confident in it, you're going to fish it harder. So when I get a new bait, I might not be as confident as I will with something that I've used all the time. I'll fish it, but if I'm not doing well, I'm not going to stick with it because I don't have any confidence in it. And that's why my clients weren't confident in the baits I was using, but they kind of knew I knew what I was talking about. So they throw it, and I tell them, keep throwing, you're going to catch a fish. And sure enough, they ended up catching a bunch of fish on it. They'd be happy. Ashley, thank you so much. Jay, I appreciate you. I'm going to get off here. For you guys who just joined, like and subscribe. We do this a lot. I've been having a lot of fun with it. You'll have a good time and you'll learn something. So I'm going to get off of here. You guys have a good evening. I think my wife's got ribs fixed, so I got some baby back ribs in there to go eat. Thanks again, you guys. I really do appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you for coming and hanging out with me. Night, sis. I'll call you tomorrow. You made me skunk stay. Yeah, mango subprime. That's pretty funny. That was pretty funny. I mean, that was funny. Anyway, you guys have a good evening, and I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks again.